Welcome, Crimson Tide fans, to the first ever Touchdown Alabama Magazine show. I'm TJ Paysinger. This is Jonathan McMath. We're going to be coming to you weekly reports covering everything Alabama football related. And Jonathan, 2009 was a great year for the Alabama Crimson Tide. A Rose Bowl victory at Pasadena, BCS champions over the Texas Longhorns, a little revenge in Atlanta against the Florida Gators, which I was there and personally loved that. And the icing on the cake, Mark Ingram, sophomore, brings home the Heisman Trophy. Are you as excited about football this year as I am?
I'm pumped up, TJ. This Alabama team this year, a lot of people's talking about the defense may not be as good, but in my opinion, they're going to be more talented than last year's defensive team. I think Alabama, with these guys, only the people that can stop Alabama is themselves. Really, the sky is the limit. The 13th national championship last year. Now they're looking to repeat, but got a little bit of bad news Monday afternoon.
Mark Ingram injured his left knee, I think it was, in practice, and he had an arthroscopic knee surgery done Tuesday morning. Now, as far as the recovery, we know it's going to be at least a week and a half to 2 weeks, so he's definitely going to miss this first game against San Jose State, might even miss Penn State. How do you think that is going to affect the running back stable?
I don't think it's going to affect the stable a whole lot. Now, you're losing a Heisman Trophy winner, so of course it's going to mess it up a little bit. I think the thing Alabama's going to be missing most from that position is, of course, the experience and the leadership. But you've got Trent Richardson there. He can step up. He's out of Pensacola, Florida. He ran for over 800 yards last year. Alabama could easily have 2 1,000-yard rushers. Then you've got Eddie Lacy. He's out of Dutchtown, Louisiana. He was a 4-star prospect coming out. He redshirted last year. If anything, I think this injury could possibly be a blessing in disguise. Alabama doesn't necessarily need Mark Ingram for the first game of the year. Now, of course, they'd love to have him for Penn State. But what this allows is he's going to be fresher a little bit later in the year. It gives Trent some more carries. And Eddie Lacy, that third running back, could sort of try to take the role that Roy Upchurch had last year. So, but that's really not the only bad news out of Tuscaloosa. We've got the Marcel Darius situation going on, and maybe not bad news, but there's certainly no good news surfacing because the NCAA has yet to report on anything.
It's kind of up in the air at this point. We could either have, Marcel suspended for a good bit of the season or maybe not suspended at all. We don't know yet. It's still just kind of cloudy at this point as to the exact implications Marcel's trip to Miami is going to have. Obviously, we want him on the team. He was the BCS National Championship game MVP, defensive MVP rather. He's a great leader already. He's been coaching up the younger defensive linemen out here. He's just a monster. I mean, anybody like that you're going to have on the team is going to affect the outcome of the game. So we definitely need him back. But as you said, the defense is still very talented. But just what do you think if the defense is going to be like this year?
Well, like I said, the defense, I think, is going to be more talented than last year's. Experience is going to be the key. If Marcel Darius isn't able to play a part of the next few games, whether they have an NCAA ruling or not, if they don't rule, he's not going to be able to play because if they deem him ineligible, and that means that if Alabama even won this weekend against San Jose State, that game would have to be forfeited. Absolutely. So I think what you're losing is the experience. Now, you're going to have Mark Barron back. He's going to be a safety. He's going to have to step up, be more of a vocal leader. And you're also going to have Dante Hightower back. He missed the better part of most of last year. He was out. I believe he got hurt during the Arkansas game. He's going to be back. He's going to have to be a defensive leader for the linebackers. And, of course, Darius, if he's there, or even if he's not, he's got to be a cheerleader, and he's got to be a defensive coach on the field for that D-line. But defense, I think we're going to be okay there. Alabama's just going to have to be careful the first few games. And when they get to that Arkansas matchup, which we'll talk about later on, the defense has really got to be ready to go when they face Mallet and that passing attack of Bobby Petrinos.
Yeah, he's going to need to be back. We're going to need a pass rusher for that Arkansas game. We'll talk about that at a later date, like he said. And speaking of offense and passing attack, I kind of want to talk about Alabama's offense this year. We mentioned the great stable of running backs they have. Mark Ingram, obviously, he's going to be out for a little bit, but once he comes back, he'll be 100%. The rushing attack is still going to be great. Talk about Greg McElroy, Julio Jones, the wide receivers. What do you think they're going to accomplish this year?
Greg McElroy, he's yet to lose a game since his 8th grade year when he was playing junior high football. He led Alabama to a 14-0 record last year. It's something nobody's done since the 1992 season when Jay Barker was the quarterback there. And, of course, McElroy had about the same game as Barker did. They were both about 6 for 11 with 58 yards throwing the football. But I think the offense is going to be very explosive. The offense is going to have to pick up the defense the first few games. You look at this offense, and there's really not a weakness. We've got DJ Fluker there. He's a 5-star offensive tackle stepping in this year, redshirt freshman. He's going to be at the, I believe, the right guard position. He's going to have to step up. He's an excellent run blocker.
Very good run.
Now you talked about the Alabama running back. We've talked about that. They've got to stay with running back. But you've got McElroy there. He's got a load more confidence this year. He can really open it up this year with that wide receiver core that Alabama has.
Oh yeah. If I'm Greg McElroy, I'm just drooling. All you got to do, hand the ball off to one of the running backs or toss it to one of these talented wide receivers. The offense is going to score tons and tons of points. And like you said, that offensive line is just huge, just nasty.
Now, something I want to bring up, I think we're mistaking ourselves here if we're going to come out and see Alabama with 4 and 5 wide receiver sets. Alabama's still going to stick to their bread and butter, which is running the football to set up the play-action pass. That's when you have Preston Dowell, Michael Williams, and the gang at tight end. They have to play a crucial role in that what we'll call tight end H-back position where they go out for passes and they block for protection as well. So, yeah, Alabama has the option now to spread the field, which will set up the running game, which will therefore keep the defense guessing all game long. So I think offense we're loaded, defense is talented, they just need some experience. TJ, I want your opinion on the special teams, because if there is a weakness that could cost Alabama a game besides that defensive secondary that we talked about, it's got to be the kicking game.
Well, I think the kicking game, quite frankly, I'm pretty nervous. I was talking to you before the show. Lee Tiffin was very, very clutch. Yes, he had the Arkansas debacle in 2006, but every year since then he steadily improved and kept making big kicks. The LSU game last year, won the game 24-15. It was a 6-point game with a few minutes left in that fourth quarter. Lee Tiffin kicks a 43-yarder to put Alabama ahead by 9, pretty much clinched the game. The punter, P.J. Fitzgerald, was a great punter. He wasn't always as consistent as you'd like, but still, you got true freshman Jay Williams coming in and Cade Foster as the 2 freshman kickers. It's going to be pretty rough in the special teams early on.
Now, I don't want to scare you guys away from your armchairs here, but you talked about Lee Tiffin, the debacle at Arkansas. Well, the thing about it is that, you know, you've got in the punting position, you got Jay Williams and you've got Corey Mandel. Somebody's going to be punting the football there. Both of them have looked pretty good in practice, according to Saban. But when you think about the kicking debacle, you've got another true freshman, as you talked about, Cade Foster. Now, the thing that we're hearing on campus is from about 40 yards and out, he's got the leg, but not necessarily the accuracy. And then from about 40 yards in, you've got another true freshman. You've got Jeremy Shelley, who he could take the duties from anything from, you know, extra points to the 30 to 35 yards out. And then you've got Cade Foster coming in. So I think that's just one of those things we're going to have to keep our eye on. Like you, I'm nervous as well. But I think getting back to this week's games plan, we've talked a lot about Alabama. This is going to be a good week for the coaching staff to test out those guys in real-life situations as they take on the Spartans of San Jose State.
Yes, San Jose State, we haven't really mentioned them yet, have we? They have a quarterback coming in who started every game for them last year during their 2-10 campaign. His name is Jordan Lasegla.
I think that's how you say it.
Lasegla. See, we don't even know because it's San Jose State. You know, we don't feel like that we should worry about them too much, but they still have some good players.
Yeah, they do. You know, San Jose State 2-10 last year, 1-7 in the WAC. They have a new coach, Mike McIntyre, coming in. He's got his arms fully, absolutely. Picked up a disastrous of a team in San Jose State. They're picked last this year in the WAC. They finished next to last year in the WAC. But they do have a pretty good running back. He's actually from Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa, what do you call it, relation?
He's an all-purpose back. He's native of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Brandon Rutley, keep your eye on him. He led the nation in 2008 in kickoff returns with a 26.7 average return on kickoff. So he's a threat there. He's a home run threat for San Jose State. Talk a little bit about their defense. Last year they were 119 out of 120 teams in the NCAA in rushing defense. So if you don't think you've got Lacey, Demetrius Goods, Trent Richardson, Salava Glams running overboard right now.
You think they'll improve it in the next 4 days?
No chance in the world.
I don't think so. That's the game this weekend. But there's a game Thursday night that we're kind of excited about. It's the first college football game of the year, which I love watching. It's kind of a tradition. I watch it every year. I think every college football fan does. That's South Carolina and Southern Miss. And here on the predictions segment of the Touchdown Alabama Magazine show. Jonathan, what are your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I'll tell you, the Southern Miss South Carolina game, one of the key points I want to point out here is that Wesley Saunders, the tight end for South Carolina, is going to be out for this game according to Steve Spurrier. But I don't even think that matters. I think the defense for South Carolina is just too much, and the running game for South Carolina is just going to overpower Southern Miss. So I got to go with the Gamecocks with this one.
I understand that. Next game comes later that evening, Pacific Coast time, USC at Hawaii.
Yeah, really no contest here. Lane Kiffin making his debut with USC. Go Hawaii, but I'm afraid that the Rainbow Warriors just aren't going to get it done. USC rolling all over Hawaii.
I agree there also. 3 new SEC coaches making their debut.
Yeah, you got Robbie Caldwell at Vanderbilt. I think he's the new jokester of the SEC. But he stole Joker Phillips' name, who was the head coach in waiting. He is now the head coach at the University of Kentucky. And you also have Derek Dooley for Tennessee. I think the toughest matchup is going to be Kentucky-Louisville. Got to probably go with Kentucky on that game. Just going to be a little bit too much. And Tennessee, of course, over Tennessee Tech. And then you've got Vanderbilt playing Northwestern. And I'm sorry, Vanderbilt, but Northwestern's just got your number in the battle of the SAT schools.
That wasn't an SEC bias on the Kentucky-Louisville game, was
Not
it?
at all. Not at all.
I didn't think so. Next game, Saturday night, Chick-fil-A kickoff game. LSU taking on the Tar Heels of North Carolina.
Yeah, College game day is going to be there. I think LSU is just going to be too much for North Carolina. Too many things are up in the air. Marvin Austin, of course, the main player under investigation by the NCAA. But there's too many players underneath investigation. Too many things on the minds of North Carolina football coaches and players. Besides LSU, I think LSU is going to win that game by 2 touchdowns.
Ooh, that's pretty bold. I, on the other hand, respectfully disagree. I think North Carolina gets it done. Close game, mind you, very close game. But I think that defense in North Carolina kind of suffocates Jordan Jefferson, forces him into some mistakes, and they walk away with the win. Now, very, very big game. Labor Day night, September the 6th. Boise State, ranked number 3, against the Virginia Tech Hokies in Maryland.
Boise State, everybody's been talking about they're not playing anybody. They're not playing anybody. But this year, starting off against Virginia Tech, I still think the defense for Virginia Tech is going to be too much. Tyrod Taylor, is a mobile quarterback. I think it's going to be a really, really close game. Kellen Moore is going to keep Boise State close. They've got a better defense than people give them credit for. But I still got to go with Virginia Tech. And I think Beamer Ball with the special teams is going to make the difference for Virginia Tech. They're going to win it, but it's going to be by less than a touchdown.
I agree. Close game. Beamer Ball takes it in the end. Go Turkeys.
And, of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Oregon State and TCU. That's going to be the primetime matchup, 6:45 ESPN. Your thoughts on that one?
I think TCU actually comes away with somewhat of an upset, I guess you could say. They take on the Beavers in Arlington, Texas, and I say TCU wins that one.
I got to agree. I think TCU's defense is going to be a bit too much. And now to our game, the biggest game, San Jose State and Alabama. Prediction, TJ?
I think San Jose State's going to keep it close. No, I don't. Bama 55-3.
55-3. And I'm going to go with 45-6. Alabama wins the game. They get off to a 1-0 record before Penn State comes to town.
There you have it. The first ever Touchdown Alabama magazine show. You can check us out on touchdownalabama.net weekly every Thursday. See you next Thursday.